You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
There's going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama. And you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 3, our third and final of this week and this Football Friday, live right here on the Early Line. He's Joe, I'm Ben. We continue to get you set for everything you need to know around the National Football League. Some more reaction from Thursday Night Football that kicked off week number 2. And of course, later on in this hour, our pick 6 for week 2 and the Sunday slate. 6 bets that we love entering this weekend. And up next, finally, some college football talk entering week number 3, an early rivalry weekend in college football. Joe and I will break down the biggest games of the weekend in our next 2 segments. But Ranieri, we start by hearing from the people. There's a lot to take away, of course, from Thursday Night Football in Miami last night between the Dolphins and the Bills. The unfortunate situation for Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins moving forward. From the football perspective, of course, the uncertainty around his status, not just for week 3, but maybe the entirety of this season. And for Tua Tagovailoa, the individual and the human being. Another concussion last night after multiple concussions in 2022. What is his future in football? He, his family, his loved ones will decide in the coming days. There is also what Buffalo did in the actual game before any of the injuries that marred the end result. The Bills were dominant in the opening half and to start off the third quarter. They win a divisional game week number 2, 31-10. Has it changed our outlook for these new-look Buffalo Bills? That was the question to all of you out there, and Fade the Public. At SportsGrid on Twitter, how far will the Buffalo Bills go this season? Super Bowl champs, AFC champs, an appearance in the AFC title game, or has been the case the last 3 seasons, bounced by the divisional round or maybe even earlier in the wild card round to open up the postseason. Ranieri, right now, the public going with the first 2 options more than anything, 43% on the first or second round of the postseason, 38% plus on reaching the AFC championship game, as the Bills did in 2020, but not getting to a Super Bowl. Which way did you vote, Ranieri? Are you fading the public?
Yeah, no, I think the public's onto something here. The Buffalo Bills' expectations heading into this season were basically Super Bowl or bust. There's nothing else for the Buffalo Bills to accomplish. Winning the AFC East, yeah, great. Done that, been there, done that before. Making it to the playoffs, yeah, great. Getting a home playoff game at Orchard Park, yeah, been there, done that too. So there's really the only goal with Josh Allen and this crew was to simply get to the Super Bowl, win the AFC, and go ahead and bring home a championship. Nothing that I have seen in the first two games changes my opinion that is not still the end goal for him. So, Buffalo's season will not be determined in the first 10 weeks of this season. Talk to me again when we get to November, and we'll revisit that question with the Buffalo Bills.
It hasn't been determined in the first few weekends. It will not be even now. I think the idea, Joe, of asking this question after a dominant divisional win week 2 is the idea that some predicted a fall off for Buffalo because of all the changes offensively. See you, Steph Diggs. See you, Gabe Davis. All the changes defensively for this Bills unit, and a team that has frankly come up short of what has been the expectation in Western New York for the last 3 to 4 years. Buffalo has won the AFC East each of the past 4 seasons. They played in the AFC title game in 2020. They have been bounced by the division around the last 3 consecutive seasons. 3 of the 4 years, an exit in the divisional round for the playoffs. 3 of the last 4 years, upended by Kansas City in the postseason. Buffalo is trying to change that narrative, and we thought, why would they get rid of some of the names that we have known for all of this success to change the storyline and then expect the same result? That's why I think we asked the question now. It is always important, in my opinion, Ranieri, to provide context for Buffalo. Sean McDermott has been there for 7 seasons. This is year number 8 as the head coach of this Buffalo franchise. They have made the postseason 6 of the 7. They have won a divisional crown 4 consecutive years. Buffalo has not played in a Super Bowl since 1993. Of course, they made 4 consecutive Super Bowls, coming up short each and every year from 90 to 93. But how quick we are to forget a 17-season playoff drought in Western New York that was ended by McDermott and Buffalo back in 2017, excuse me. So that's kind of where all of this adds up for Buffalo's expectations this season. I was not one to believe the Bills were going to fall off in a large way. I still thought Buffalo, having Josh Allen, would figure things out enough offensively to still be one of the 10, 12 best scoring offenses in the NFL. We've seen that so far. 34 points week number 1, 31 yesterday against Miami, albeit part of it was defensively and the pick 6 to start off the third quarter. I thought Buffalo would win 10 games. I thought Buffalo would challenge for the AFC East once again. I thought Buffalo would be a playoff team. So nothing that I have seen so far has changed my outlook, much like you.
I do think if you want to, when you look at the schedule, Ben, Thursday night game, they get even extra rest because they take on Jacksonville next Monday night, the 23rd. They take on Jacksonville at home, as a matter of fact, there. Then they have on the road to Baltimore in a short week. Then you've got Houston October 6th. That, to me, is the game you circle on the road against what many people believe is a top 5 AFC defense. Because even then, I don't think Baltimore's defense is the best it has been in years. A lot of issues there. They just lost Kyle Van Noy last week again. So Baltimore's got some issues. Jacksonville's defense, there's a new sheriff in town. They kind of looked apart against Miami there, but there's still much more we have to see. I think Houston is the litmus test, October 6th, for where this Buffalo Bills team really is.
And, Joe, I think it's a great point because the positive odds movement for the Bills following the victory last night in South Florida has moved Buffalo into a tie for second at a 6-1 number to win the AFC Championship, past Houston alongside Baltimore. Entering week number 2, it was Buffalo at a 7-1 number, 50 cents in front of the New York Jets. The Ravens still had the second best price behind Kansas City, and Houston third best. The Texans win week number 1. They host Sunday Night Football and Chicago in 2 days. So I do understand the odds optimism for Buffalo after the dominant performance last night, but that's kind of where I figured Buffalo is going to be. The Bengals have moved back a 10-1 number. The Jets firmly in fifth. We love to react on a week-to-week sample size around the National Football League, and we will continue to do so. There's a couple of spots on Sunday. If the Bengals get hammered in KC, or if they win, that number is going to drop drastically. What do the Jets look like? Can they pick up their first win of this season under Aaron Rodgers in Nashville? If they do, does that number shorten substantially? Because the New York Jets were the favorites to win the AFC East, moving past Buffalo in the final few weeks of the preseason to take that mantle, despite, Joe, the Bills winning this division 4 straight years.
Yeah, it's and lot can be determined here. I think Miami, we still have to figure out what they're going to do with the quarterback position. They don't need a lot. The good thing with Miami is they just need a competent enough quarterback to be able to get the ball to their playmakers there, and then we'll see what happens. But I think a lot of this is going to run down between Buffalo and the Jets, which, if we're being honest, we probably thought that before the season started anyway with a healthy Aaron Rodgers.
4 total tuds for Josh Allen in game 1, week number 1. Last night didn't have to do much. 13 of 19, a $136 and a touchdown. Carried it twice for 2 yards. Still a second best MVP price at 6-1. College football handicap next.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get you set for week number 3 in college football. Again, maybe not the most robust slate we have ever seen. 59 FBS college football games on a Saturday. 2 games today that feature 3 Big 12 teams, Kansas and UNLV in Lawrence. The Jayhawks a 7.5-point favorite against the Runnin' Rebs, who maybe are being courted by the new look Pac-12. That's a story for a different day, but Ranieri, I think there is an argument to be made that the best game of the entirety of the Week 3 college football slate is not tomorrow on a Saturday, as it often is. It's on this Friday night. in Manhattan, Kansas. To the Little Apple we go. One of two ranked versus ranked matchups in week 3. It's 20th ranked Arizona, number 14 K-State. Again, you look at this game. Oh, a Big 12 matchup to start things off this year for the grouping of the Wildcats. That is incorrect. This is a non-conference game, does not have ramifications on the Big 12 standings. Total is 60.5. And what stands out to me, Joe, Kansas State, more than a touchdown favorite at home against Arizona. Is the line fitting, or is it a little bit too steep?
Well, it depends on who you think is going to win this game. If you think that Arizona, who is coming off of a very lackluster performance against Northern Arizona, which I do think is playing into the market perception of this team. I mean, there are some changes, although they have plenty enough offensive returning starters from a year ago, including their quarterback. Philosophically, it's about the same. Kansas State, listen, that game against Tulane, would we be having the same conversation if Mensa doesn't get picked there in the end zone at the end of that game? We could be having a totally different discussion and different line for K-State. Right. I think the perception of both these teams is they are going to be able to put up points. I think defensively, that's where both of these teams are going to have some issues. The tempo is going to be there. I quite honestly, Ben, don't know how this thing stays under any total you throw out there. It is a key number, of course, 7.5.
Right.
But my goodness, there are going to be a ton of points. And when you got such a high total, that kind of spread shouldn't bother you if you're looking to lay it with Kansas State.
Now, Kennesaw State, currently an FBS program, did play a couple of FBS foes a year ago and technically was the best cover team in the country as they were 1-0 against the number. But if you go outside of just one game, Arizona was the best cover team in college football a season ago, 11-2 against the spread, and nobody better at covering numbers as an underdog. Zona last year, 6-0 against the spread as an underdog. Only 3 outright victories, fine. But covering numbers by an average margin of 17.4 points per game in those 6 contests booked as the dog. So the hook added on to the 7 does stand out to me. Neither of these groups of cats has covered so far this season. Arizona tested week 1 by New Mexico. Last week, nearly a 40-point favorite against Northern Arizona, FCS foe. They won 22-10. And in week number 1, Joe, Noah Fafita had more than 400 passing yards. More than 300 of them went to his top target, Teteroa McMillan, one of the best wideouts in college football. Last week, the guy had 2 grabs for 11 yards. I have no idea what happened. But you mentioned Darian Mensah and Tulane last week in New Orleans, close to 350 through the air against this Wildcats secondary and 3 touchdowns. So that should lead you to Noah Fafita tonight, 269.5. And T-Mac, his receiving yards prop, 94 and a hook. I would keep an eye on DJ Giddens. That's K-State's running back. 100.5 is his rushing yards prop. He has gone over that in 6 consecutive games. Each of the first 2 this year for K-State, the final 4 a season ago. And Arizona has been getting run on so far this season. But to your point, Joe, I think we see some points and some offense tonight in the Little Apple. A top 20 tilt on a Friday, perhaps the best game of the weekend on a Friday night, which means the only ranked versus ranked matchup that we have all Saturday long is in Columbia. 6th ranked Missouri, 24th ranked Boston College. The only top 25 tilt on a Saturday, as we all expected. We mentioned this game with proud BC alum Mike Blewett, 16.5 points in favor of Mizzou, total 53.5. Ranieri, is the spread too large for this top 25 tilt?
No, I do think it's exactly where it needs to be, Ben, just strictly from the standpoint of this Missouri team. I like them. There is nothing not to like about them. Certainly offensively, they are good to go. Bill O'Brien, I think, is going to try to slow this game down to a crawl, Ben. They're going to try to limit the possessions there for Mizzou, which is their best shot at trying to win this game. So if you're going to take the points to 16.5, I would also correlate that big time with the under 53.5. Yep. I don't see any situation in BC covers a shootout. I don't think that's what they want. I think Bill O'Brien knows that. So, yeah, I do think this is either blowout or outright upset. I don't think there's anything in between.
Boston College, of course, an outright upset week number 1 against another ranked foe in Florida State, but that might be a fraudulent ranking next to FSU. One of 34 teams in the country this year, 2-0 against the spread. One of the few, though, that has won outright as an underdog in that perception. This is the first time that BC has been ranked since 2018. Joe, this is the first time that Boston College has played in a ranked versus ranked matchup since 2007. When Matt Ryan was playing quarterback in Chestnut Hill. It's been a very long time. Missouri, best scoring defense in the country this year. Corey Batoon, the new defensive coordinator, taking over for Blake Baker. They have held both of their opponents scoreless. One FBS foe included, Buffalo, last week. Brady Cook, Luther Burden, one of the best quarterback wide receiver combos in the SEC, yet to break out. Maybe keep an eye on those numbers for tomorrow against Boston College. We'll get to the rest of the Week 3 slate and some of the best games in college football on your Saturday. Up next, live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's set the stage for week number 3 around college football. A rapid-fire whip around to hit on as many games as we can in the next 5+ minutes. Purdue hosting Notre Dame this week. The Irish now ranked 18th in the country. I think the Spoilermakers are a little bit mad at the Huskies from NIU. They were hoping to be the team to upset Notre Dame because Purdue has the most wins against an AP top 5 foe as an unranked club in the history of college football, 17 It's just that Notre Dame is no longer in the top 5, but remains in the top 20. The Irish, Joe, less than a double-digit favorite now on the road in West Lafayette against the Boilermakers. How critical is this game, and what do you want to see out of Notre Dame in response to the huge upset last week at home against NIU?
Well, it shouldn't be a surprise that Notre Dame is struggling here, and it shouldn't be a surprise that this is no longer a double-digit favorite on the road here, Ben. The offense of Notre Dame is terrible. Anybody who thought another, ACC quarterback from the bottom tier teams was going to come in and save Notre Dame and elevate them have been sadly mistaken. You did it last year when you had to go to Wake Forest and pluck their quarterback. You did it this year with Duke. Riley Leonard's also hurt in his non-throwing shoulder, which means he's not probably going to run as much and take as many hits in this one, Ben. Notre Dame is going to win games because of its defense. They are going to lose games because their offense can't score enough. Entirely still too many points. But you know what? This is either going to be a Notre Dame 45-0 or they lose outright to Purdue. So I'll take the plus 285.
Yeah, listen, you're not wrong in that thought, Joe. When you look at Purdue last year, first year under Ryan Walters, 4-5 against the spread as an underdog, 3 outright victories. The Boilermakers had a weird week 2 bye after a week 1 shutout over FCS and in-state foe, Indiana State. Hudson Card, the Texas transfer, second year in West Lafayette, darn good, 24 of 25 for 273 yards and 4 touchdowns. The second most efficient passer in college football at the moment, only behind Ole Miss's Jackson Dart. So they've been focused on this game. We talk about overreactions week 1 to week 2 in the National Football League. This feels like a slight overreaction. Purdue entered this year, and I don't want to slander the Boilermakers. I love them. I wish they could play spoiler. But Purdue entered this year with the lowest win total in the Big Ten at 4.5. And Notre Dame is now less than a double-digit favorite because of what happened last week. Listen, Riley Leonard has to be better. He has not thrown for more than 163 yards this year and 2 costly interceptions last week against NIU. It feels a little bit reactionary. Not that I advise laying 9.5 with the Irish. Just, again, a little bit reactionary. What a week it is for the Forgotten Two in the Pac-12. The announcement yesterday morning, the addition starting in 2026, and I do not believe that the timing was just ironic. I think they knew what they were doing entering rivalry week for the Forgotten Two against their former Pac-12 foes. We've got the Civil War between Oregon State and Oregon, and on top of that, Joe, the Apple Cup on Saturday in Seattle, not inside Husky Stadium, mind you. This game at Lumen Field where the Seahawks play. Only a 4.5-point spread in favor of the Huskies. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think this is interesting because Washington State has been flying under the radar. I had them last week as a big bet, Ben, taking on Texas Tech at home that nobody gave them any credit for. This is a real team in Pullman. Also defensively, they are flying around that field. Will Rogers, the former Mississippi State quarterback there, is now flinging it for Washington. Washington's defense, I think, is better. This, to me, is going to be a wild one. I do think we're going to get some points, so I tend to look at the over when these two teams usually get together.
55.5 is that number. John Mateer is still running out on the Palouse, 197 yards for Wazoo last week at the quarterback spot. They won outright against Texas Tech at home, a 2.5-point underdog against Texas Tech, 37-16. Fraudulent program, though, in Lubbock, Texas. Quickly here in Erie, let's look at a couple of the lines for Saturday. Tulane, Oklahoma. OU barely surviving last week against Tulane's former head coach, Willie Fritz, now at Houston. The Green Wave cover that number in my estimation. Just show the week 3 slate so the people can take it in. A huge SEC Saturday, and of course a couple of those rivalry matchups as well. We could spend forever on college football. Got to give you the pick 6 next.
There's going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Football Friday on the Early Line for the next half hour. It's all picks and breakdowns to set the stage for the Sunday slate in the second weekend of this NFL season. It is our Pick 6. He is Joe Ranieri. I am Ben Stevens. A reminder, if this is your first time tuning into a Football Friday this season, this year, or any year around the Early Line on the SportsGrid Network. Our Pick 6 are 6 bets in a creative way that we like for Sunday. It is our favorite as we look at everything. Anytime touchdown score of the weekend. A moneyline underdog that we think can strike the outright upset. Our favorite under of the weekend. An alternate line, whether it be a spread, total, player prop. We want to give you some plus money and a sprinkle. Our favorite yardage prop of the weekend. And then Joe and I combine forces for a 2-leg 6-point teaser. I effed us last week, Ranieri. I really screwed the pooch. I took the Bengals down to a 2.5-point favorite against the Patriots, and we know how that turned out. So as we get going here for the Pick 6, in these next 25 minutes or so, you begin, my friend. Your favorite anytime touchdown scorer this weekend is who and in what game?
I am going to head to Lambeau Field, and I am going to look at Jonathan Taylor, who knows a little something about the state of Wisconsin, doesn't he, Ben? In fact, he has spoken a number of times about how he really wants to do a Lambeau leap in his return to the state of Wisconsin. Former Badger has been looking forward to this game. And judging the way the Packers played defense last week against Philadelphia against the run, in which Saquon Barkley had a field day and they allowed 3 rushing touchdowns, I do think that the Colts are going to have plenty of opportunities and plenty of possessions there to have the ball and to make Jonathan Taylor get that Lambeau leap after all. So it's JT for me into the end zone for a touchdown.
He does know the state of Wisconsin, a big Saturday in Wisconsin as well. That's in Madison as 4th-ranked Alabama comes to town to take on the Badgers. So JT hoping for a very successful weekend back in the state where he played college football, but not for the in-state team being the Packers. It's funny you picked Jonathan Taylor. I looked at the same game, but just to the guy alongside JT in Indy's backfield. That's Anthony Richardson, plus 145, 2 fine Patriots scored last week in the opener for Indianapolis against the Texans. He's a battering ram at 6'4", 6'5", 255 when he needs to be around the goal line. Of course, they want to protect him as injuries ended his season early on during his first year last year. But, Joe, he's played only 5 games in his NFL career. 4 last year, completed 2. 1 this year, completed the game, which is a good sign against the Texans. 5 career games, 5 rushing touchdowns for Anthony Richardson. I do believe he finds pay dirt at a plus 145 number against Green Bay on Sunday. But just because we both believe that the Colts will find pay dirt, one of the 2 guys at least in the backfield, maybe even both, does that mean, Joe, that Indy cakewalks to a victory over Malik Willis and Green Bay?
No, it doesn't, which is why Green Bay is going to be my moneyline underdog here, Ben, given the fact that, listen, as much as we want to pat the Colts on the back, it was like an 80-yard bomb by Richardson. It was like a blocked punt. The offense was sporadic. Jonathan Taylor only had, 3 yards? A rush, I think, is what he averaged. Now, granted, there is a big drop between Jordan Love and Malik Willis, but LaFleur, I believe, as a underdog, has been one of the most profitable coaches to back here. In Lambeau, and you want to give them a field goal, I don't think they're going to need it. I do think that they will figure out a way somehow to win this game, and the Colts and the young Richardson will have some issues there in that environment.
So, Joe, it just feels like a game that Green Bay is going to win somehow, some way. That's how I look at it in a picks pool with confidence points. I'm not all that confident, but I did pick the upset. I do like the look as a money line dog. The Packers did not cover last week as that underdog in Sao Paulo against the Eagles. 2.5-point spread. The Eagles winning that game by 5. But last year as an underdog, when not much was expected of the young Packers roster and the unproven Jordan Love, they were 8-4 against the spread. 6 of those 8 covers, an outright victory. I have a lot of doubts about Malik Willis. What an interesting story Willis is, right? Out of Liberty, drafted in the 2022 NFL draft in the 3rd round by Tennessee. But during that draft process and cycle, there was a time where Willis was thought of as the number 1 overall pick, or at least the first quarterback off the board. That was Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh. He's now the backup in Philadelphia. There was only 1 quarterback taken in the opening round for the first time since 2013. All to say, maybe the evaluators were right about Willis, who made 3 starts in his rookie year for Tennessee back in 2022. He has not thrown a touchdown pass in his NFL career, but does have 3 interceptions. A heavy dose of Josh Jacobs and a Packers defense that is going to have to be good if Green Bay is going to win outright. Now, it's not quite the plus 132 price of Green Bay. How about plus 102 for my moneyline underdog? It's the Rams in Arizona on Sunday. 2 straight road games for LA to start off. Never great. A lot of injury concern along the offensive line, trying to keep the veteran Matthew Stafford upright, which is also a concern. I'm not sure if we're going to see Rob Havenstein. I'm not sure if we're going to see Joe Noteboom, the 2 guys that anchor either side at the tackle spot. Jonah Jackson, the only presumptive starter for LA that has even practiced in full this week for the Rams up front. But give me Sean McVay over Jonathan Gannon each and every day. Give me Sean McVay's ability to scheme this up, knowing the injury concerns for LA with a week of preparation. Joe, this is the first time the Cardinals will be booked as a favorite since 2022. And in that season, only a favorite 3 games. They have not been in this spot. I'm not entirely sure why they are booked as the favorite. I think it's a slight overreaction. And you look at the Cardinals. They got to Josh Allen twice last week, but last year, the 3rd least amount of sacks in the NFL with just 33. So if they were playing a different team with a more vaunted pass rush and the injury concerns for the Rams O-line, I might be a little bit more concerned. The Rams last year, 5-3-1 against the number as an underdog. I'll take the Rams outright to pick up win 1 of 2024.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That, too, is one of those games that feels like, yeah, I get the home field advantage, not what it once was, certainly in Arizona, but it certainly does feel like it's a game the Rams will bounce back in with Stafford and McVay. They'll figure it out against a very porous defense there, Ben.
So now let's go our favorite under of the weekend. Kudos to you, my friend. The bravado you must have to look at the lowest under of the weekend of 36.5 and say, not too high. We're going under in Mile High, the Broncos and the Steelers. How come, Joe?
Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I sat here last Friday and told you, guys, the Tomlin record as the head coach of the Steelers on the road is ridiculous. It's now 52-20-2 to the under in all regular season road games since 2015. And they have gone under the score by a total of 3.5 points a game. If it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it, Ben. The Steelers, and especially with who's calling plays for them now with Arthur Smith, there's no airing out in this game. This is going to be a rock fight. They'd be lucky to get the 30.
Pittsburgh did win last week, 18-10, outright as a 4.5-point dog in Atlanta. A total in the low 40s, stayed well under. The Steelers won a football game by almost more than a score, but technically just a score because it was 8 points, without scoring a single touchdown. Just 6 field goals. Chris Boswell was great last week in the ATL, and the Broncos did end up scoring 20 points, but some of it late in a game that was heavily decided by Seattle. We continue the Pick Six on the other side of the break on this Football Friday.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Joe showing the stones on this Football Friday, looking at the lowest total of week number 2 and the Sunday slate and saying under in Mile High between the Broncos and the Steelers. Joe, there's many ways that I would like to invest in New York, on the road, in Nashville on Sunday. I understand logistically it is a very difficult start to the year for the Jets. On the road in Northern California against the San Francisco 49ers, back home for a few days, then right out to Nashville on a shorter week. But at least on paper, and maybe I'll eat my words and Will Levis will make me eat crow on Monday. But as long as that guy's the quarterback for Tennessee, give me the Jets all day long. I'd lay the 3.5 with New York. I am not so concerned about Aaron Rodgers. I think the ground game picks up against Tennessee. It's the defense that I think has to make a statement. And if Will Levis is the starting quarterback for the Titans, then give me the Titans team total under 18.5. Tennessee was tied for the fifth worst scoring offense in the National Football League last year, one of 6 teams that averaged less than 18 points per game. I understand the Jets gave up 32 to San Francisco, and frankly, it could have been more as Jake Moody hit 6 field goals. Some of those could have been paid off with a touchdown. But I think the offense picks it up. And the Jets' defense was great last year with the weight of the world on its shoulders. I think the offense is better. Aaron Rodgers is better. Ground game and Breece Hall are better with the offensive line. Garrett Wilson, the guy on your screen, I would keep an eye on as well. 70.5, his receiving yards prop. Alan Lazard, 37.5. We know that Aaron likes the guys that he feels comfortable with. I like the Jets laying 3.5. I think New York gets their first win of the year, and I think they do so in rather dominant fashion. Tennessee under 18 and a hook.
Yeah, spot on here. This needs to be a dominating performance by the Jets defense, and I do think the motivation will be there to get it done. Big time.
Yeah, that is the way I look at it for the Titans and the Jets on Sunday. All right, alt line, you're going back to Green Bay. What's the play?
Yeah, and as you can see, we're correlating a lot of these, right? If we bet one, we might as well go for broke. And listen, with Malik Willis there, we have Green Bay as our moneyline underdog. And for that to happen, it's not Malik Willis who's got to have the big game. It's got to be Josh Jacobs. And I don't think LaFleur is just going to ask Willis to have this unbelievable game here of dropping back and throwing 50 times. I think anytime they get the ball in the red zone, I think Josh Jacobs is the guy that's going to get opportunities here. And listen, the Colts defense, not great by any stretch. And I do think that he'll have an opportunity here to get not just one running the ball, but probably one catching the ball out of the backfield as well. So 2 or more touchdowns for Josh Jacobs for me in this one in Green Bay.
Plus 460. That is the number, and I absolutely love the look. Again, I kind of agree with you that Green Bay seems to be that field goal underdog that can prevail on Sunday. The line should be more from the drop-off to Jordan Love to Malik Willis, and it's not. That should say something, but because of Josh Jacobs, that's how Green Bay keeps this game close and maybe wins outright. I'm going alt line, Browns, Jags, over 46.5. The total is 41 and a hook, and if you looked at last week, in the quarterback play between Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, you're probably thinking I'm a little bit crazy. Both offenses put up only 17 points. Deshaun Watson was absolutely abysmal, as he has been in the 12 starts he has made for the Browns. But the main focus, Joe, is on Jacksonville. The Jaguars scored all 17 of their points in the opening half. Then in the second half, the offense stalled out. Miami blanked them with a couple of long drives, and there was a fumble from Travis Etienne in the red zone inside the Dolphins' 15-yard line that really stifled what Jacksonville was trying to do. One of the reasons I go over alt line here is because the Browns last week gave up 33 points, 33-17 against the Cowboys. Total was 42.5, right around this number. It skied over with 50 combined points. The Browns have often played in games, the last 2 seasons now, start from 2023 to where we are at this moment, where the total has been just simply too low. The Browns last year, the highest over percentage in the National Football League, 12 of 18 games over. Not because they were putting up 50 points each and every week and they were going over totals of 48, 49, 50 and a hook. The numbers were so low because of how bad the quarterback play was, or at least the expectation for what Joe Flacco would be able to do. And they still found their way over. I think both offenses are better. I think we get a lot of points on Sunday, at least worth a sprinkle. And by the way, Joe, the Browns not only the highest over percentage in the NFL a year ago, over in all 9 of the games they played away from Cleveland a season ago. Now let's go to your favorite yardage prop of the weekend. I really like this look, Joe, for what is the marquee matchup in that Sunday afternoon time slot in Kansas City. Chiefs, Bengals, what's the play?
Again, another correlating shot here of a game that we talked about earlier with the Bengals taking on Kansas City. And I do like the Bengals in that game. And I also like Joe Burrow going over his passing prop number 228.5 is what I think it was we saw. He was absolutely miserable in game one, but not because he couldn't throw the ball and not because of a wrist. It's because they had 8 total possessions in the game. 8. And 2 of those 8 drives ended in ridiculous turnovers that should never have happened. Otherwise, we're having a different discussion about this Bengals team. Yeah, give me a big bounce back effort here with Burrow. T. Higgins probably not playing, but you're going to have Chase. You got Boyd. You got more than enough for him to be able to get over this number.
48 plays. That's it. Just 48 offensive snaps for Cincinnati last week. 29 attempts from Joe Burrow, 21 completions. Was sacked 3 times. So not a lot on the ground either for Zach Moss in his Bengals debut. Let Chase Brown go out there and eat, please, for the Bengals moving forward. But I like the bounce back for both the Bengals and Burrow in this Week 2 game and a monumental one in Arrowhead against Kansas City. I'll give you my favorite yardage prop, and we'll combine for that 2-leg, 6-point teaser that failed Week 1, but will not in Week 2. That's next here on the Early Line.
There's going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We continue our pick 6 for the Sunday slate in week number 2 in the National Football League. You gave your favorite yardage prop, Joe to Joe. That's Burrow going over 228.5 in terms of his passing yards on Sunday in Kansas City. I go to J.K. Dobbins. The Chargers on the road in Carolina. Boy, the Panthers are bad. But when you look at the Bolts, last week J.K. Dobbins, as you and Blewett were on Ranieri, over his rushing yards prop. He had 10 carries against the Raiders, was explosive, 135 yards, and a touchdown. Am I a little bit late to the game? I don't believe so, for two reasons. Despite Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman say that they're going to go with the hot hand, so technically that could be Gus Edwards, I think J.K. Dobbins has emerged as the lead back. And I still very much stress this, although Justin Herbert is there. Harbaugh and Roman, who did this in San Francisco, and Roman did it with Jim's brother John in Baltimore, and Jim continued the philosophy in Ann Arbor. They are going to establish the run. They want to take the onus off of Justin Herbert, who has had to do so much for this Chargers organization in the first 4 years of his NFL career, now in a year number 5. They are going to run the football, so I think the number is slightly light on J.K. Dobbins, 55.5. And, oh, by the way, Carolina allowed 180 yards rushing last week against New Orleans. They were the 10th worst rushing defense in all the NFL last season. And as Mike Blewett said, and it should be stressed, Derek Brown, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the National Football League, a little bit overshadowed because he plays in Carolina, is now out for the remainder of this season. Another big blow for the Panthers to contend with.
Yeah, it's but ultimately it's going to come down to whether or not they can figure out what to do with their number 1 draft pick, their quarterback here. If they can't get Bryce Young to get in any rhythm whatsoever, I don't care who you have on. You can have 16 guys on defense. It's still not going to matter for Carolina.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, right? Because now you look at the Panthers, who have been an underdog in all 18 games dating back to the start of last year. Bryce Young has started 17 of them. They are 4-12-2 against the number as a dog. Bryce Young last week was atrocious. 13 of 30 for less than 150. I don't even know. It was less than 200. He has thrown for less than 200 yards in 10 of the last 11 games the Panthers have played. Only over 300, which was his only time over 250 against Green Bay week 17. I mean, it's bad, man. It's bad. I kind of was optimistic it would change at least slightly for Carolina. Not an 8 or 9 win football team, but maybe just 6. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Let's combine for our 2-leg 6-point teaser. It missed last week. That's on me. I hope to hold up my end of the bargain this week, but Joe, you start.
So, again, another correlated spot here, Ben, but I'm going to go back to Mile High. And while I told you guys, I love the simple fact that the unders in that trend with Tomlin and the Steelers have on the road has been tremendously profitable. But do you know what other trend we can always count on when it comes to Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, Ben? It's the simple fact that they play much better against good teams, division games, and after a loss. You know what doesn't apply in this game? Any of those things. You know what else applies? Is how terrible Tomlin and the Steelers have been against teams they should beat, especially in non-division games, which is exactly what we have here. I have no problem teasing the Broncos up to 8.5 in such a low total game, knowing that this is usually where the Steelers have a letdown game.
Yep, the Pittsburgh Steelers last year as a favorite, not bad. But again, when you look at what Pittsburgh has done, better as a dog than they are as the favored side. They will be a slight favorite in Denver. The Broncos last year as an underdog, just 7-8 against the numbers. So as it stands, Joe, you go Denver up to 8.5. It makes a ton of sense through 2 key numbers in a game that features the lowest total of the weekend. I bring the Cowboys down through 3, make it a pick against New Orleans. I think Dallas wins the game outright. I actually think they cover the overall spread. I think we're a little bit hyped up on the Saints after the thrashing of Carolina. Give me Dallas to start 2-0 and look pretty good at home in the debut at the Star. Those are the pick sixes. That's the 2-leg 6-point teaser. He is Joe Ranieri. I am Ben Stevens. We'll see you all tomorrow on a college football Saturday on SportsGrid. The early line returns on Monday. Have a great weekend.